We are at an interesting point in this prayer chain or prayer listing by Agisa Tongoyo Duno in her book Wounded. And we have reached the point where she is now talking about deliverance from demonic oppression. And she says the generational or inherited motherhood that we have already spoken about is one way that opens a child to demonic expressions. A victim can inherit some evil spirits that cause his or her mother to perpetuate hurt. The natural reaction for wounded people is to wallow in their pain and rehearse the lies Satan introduces into their minds. When people linger in their negative feelings and reactions to emotional wounds, they open the doorway for evil spirits, thus giving the enemy a legal right. I'll never forget when my mentors talked about this to me, that the reason some things were the way they were in my life is because the demons had legal right. How scary is that? To stay in their lives. If they do not deal with the heart and retain negative emotions such as anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, and self-rejection, this constitutes sin in the eyes of God. Are you hearing this with me? As a result of this unconfessed sin, the systems which protect them from the evil spirits are compromised. The Bible cautions us not to harbor bitterness, so we do not give the enemy a foothold. And here we've been just waiting for the opportune moment to say, and that's what she did. And that's why I hate her. And that's why I can't stand her. And that's why I'm not supporting her. And that's why I'm not showing up for her. Because that's how I'm coping right now. And isn't that bitterness? And if you've not caught up with the previous videos where we talked about the seed and the tree and the fruits of unforgiveness, bitterness, please find that video here. Wow. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 26 to 27. Satan uses this opportunity to introduce certain evil spirits into the body and the mind of the victim, which enter through the open door. Can you imagine? They're just saying welcome, welcome, and attach themselves, causing the person to become demonized if they do not deal with the wound. And I think that's why we say we are having an attack, a panic attack, an anxiety attack, because at that point the devils are seeking to rule over you. The demons now want to take their plunder because you're about to cross over, go into your promised land, but the demons will just not let you leave them homeless. The defense mechanisms used by wounded people to camouflage or cope with hurt can be observed physically through oppressive ailments and diseases such as stress, anxiety, migraines, arthritis, ulcers, and autoimmune diseases. They have easy access to the person's emotional instability and physical vulnerability. These diseases cause the victim to resort to self-limiting behaviors that restrict their personal growth. Emotions such as fear, self-hate. Remember we just read about self-rejection. Now there's self-hate, anger, mistrust, shame, feeling abandoned, discouraged, hopeless, defeated, depressed, and taking offense easily. That used to be my life. Are built up into strongholds. So I want you to imagine you're living your life and no one is addressing the trauma, so you're good. And then suddenly something happens and you get triggered. And when you get triggered, you justify that trigger and you say, you know what, just leave this alone. It's been seeking to upset me. And then you get triggered again. And then by the 8th, 9th trigger in your life, you're like, no, there's a system here that's working. And because I can't go back and undo the root cause of this system, I'll just label it this. And every time it happens, I'll label it this. So what you're actually doing the whole time from the first trigger was digging a hole. And you've dug that hole so deep that you're now in that hole and can't come out. And then God forbid the rains pour a good one. And you're drowning in that hole. And no one knows you dug that hole, so no one knows where to find you. So you'll either die trying to get out of that hole, or die in that hole, God forbid, to be discovered later that this is where so and so was because they were hidden in their trauma. And that's why we need to speak out. We need to call these things out so that we break that power. That stronghold it has on us is broken. And she says here that these strongholds of sin block the free flow of the Spirit of God to the victims who hurt others if they have not dealt with the open wound in their own lives. Unfortunately, another way victims of the mother wound give access to evil spirits that oppress them is through the trauma they carry. Trauma comes from the Greek word for wound. When children have negative experiences with their mother or the person who represented her that hurt them either by negligence or causing physical or emotional harm, the result is emotional trauma. Trauma is also one of the things that can break the spiritual wall of protection of the victim, giving access to evil spirits that oppress them. In his book, Unwanted, J. Stringer connects unwanted sexual behavior like pornography to an accumulation of experiences of emotional and physical abuse throughout the victim's life that compounded into trauma. He highlights 3 features of trauma. We have learned that trauma is not just an event that took place sometime in the past. It's also an imprint left. What? By that experience on mind, brain, and body. For example, if you are called stupid as a child, the imprint of the wound may be revealed in your relentless attempts to be competent, or the toxic shame you feel when someone realizes you do not know how to do something. Second, trauma affects not only our mind but also our body. This is why you might hear people say, I was completely traumatized and couldn't say anything. I was scared stiff after the bang, or my knees started shaking after I heard that my dad had been hospitalized. Third trauma is a type of soul loss, fright paralysis, and a soul loss. And Agiso goes on to say that often the accumulated experiences of rejection, humiliation, mockery, and scapegoating collectively drive a person to find a way of coping. By the time a wounded child reaches adulthood, his or her life is full of shame and anger about what has been done, and trauma has been imprinted in their mind and body. Victims of unaddressed trauma through the mother wound are prime candidates for unwanted sexual behavior such as pornography. As a temporary balm, this streams through their eyes into the cracks of their deep-seated trauma. Suppose a victim of the mother wound carries a spirit of anger that causes them to lose self-control, and they use other coping mechanisms like addiction, overeating, and other behaviors to numb their senses. This is where the devil comes in with the demons. He introduces them to your broken spirit and says, stay here, live here. Let's refuse to accept this. Let's fight for our future, our destiny, and let God overcome on our behalf.